All right, let's dive right in. We're going to unpack a single, incredibly dense verse from the prophet Zechariah. Now, this is a 2,500-year-old vision that holds a really complex prophetic puzzle, a kind of code that combines some of the most powerful ideas in the entire ancient scriptures.
So the big question is, what is the secret here? What is this ancient vision trying to tell us? Well, to figure it out, we've got to travel back in time and step right into the middle of a cosmic drama that was unfolding in the heavens.
So, the vision, it just throws us right into what feels exactly like a heavenly courtroom drama. Zechariah gets this glimpse into the divine council, and it's this scene of celestial judgment where, no joke, the fate of an entire nation is hanging in the balance.
And who's on trial? It's this guy, Joshua, the high priest. But here's the thing. He isn't just there for himself. In his role, he actually embodies the whole nation of Israel, who had just returned from exile. So whatever verdict is passed on him, well, that's the verdict for everyone.
And yeah, it is not looking good for the defendant. He shows up in court wearing these filthy garments. And this isn't just some wardrobe malfunction. It's a really powerful symbol. It represents the collective guilt, the priestly failures, the national sin of the people. This right here is the heart of the problem.
And if that wasn't bad enough, get this. There's a prosecutor. The vision says Satan is standing right there, at Joshua's right hand, ready to accuse him. And the charges are real, the guilt is totally visible, the stakes just could not be higher.
But right when you think you know exactly how this trial is going to end, the story takes a massive turn. This whole courtroom scene, it turns out it isn't the final verdict. Instead, it becomes a sign, a huge pointer to something else entirely.
So then, something totally unexpected happens. The accuser is rebuked. Joshua's filthy clothes are stripped away, and they're replaced with clean ones. And here's the absolutely crucial point. This happens not because Joshua is innocent, because he's not. It's an act of pure unilateral grace from God. He's cleansed simply because God chooses to step in. And then God basically explains what's going on. He tells Joshua that he and his priest buddies are men who are a sign. Now, the Hebrew word here is mofed, and it's a fascinating term. It means a living, breathing preview, a symbol that points beyond what's happening right now to a much, much bigger future event. Their cleansing is just a shadow of a greater reality to come. And this all builds to the absolute heart of the vision, the key verse for our entire explainer. God makes this incredible promise. Behold, I will bring my servant the branch. That title, my servant the branch, that's the key. That's the clue that unlocks this whole prophecy.
All right, let's start cracking this code, shall we? First up, the branch. As it turns out, this isn't some new term Zechariah invented. He's actually tapping into a really old and well-established prophetic tradition.
For centuries, the branch was basically prophetic code for a future king from the line of King David. Imagine it like this. Their royal dynasty was like a great, towering tree that had been chopped down, leaving only a stump. For a people who'd lost their king and their kingdom, that image was their everyday reality. But the prophets promised that a new shoot, a righteous branch, would grow from that seemingly dead stump and renew the whole royal line.
You know, Zechariah is really standing on the shoulders of giants here. He's pulling from earlier prophecies by Isaiah and Jeremiah, who both use this exact same branch from a stump imagery to promise a future messianic king. So, okay, part one of the code is cracked. Branch means king.
Okay, now for part two of the code. What does Zechariah mean when he adds the title, my servant? And again, this isn't just some generic term for helper. No way. This is another specific, really loaded title from the prophet Isaiah. The title, My Servant, is pulled straight from a really famous series of passages in Isaiah known as the Servant Songs. And these songs describe this unique figure who doesn't save people through power or conquest, but through suffering. He's a redeemer who brings about atonement by literally taking the guilt of others onto himself. So what exactly is on this servant's job description? Well, Isaiah lays it out pretty clearly. He brings justice, but not through force. He does it by bearing sin and interceding for the guilty, which is a deeply priestly role of sacrifice and mediation. And it all ends in his ultimate vindication by God. And this is where Zechariah does something truly revolutionary. He takes these two massive, distinct prophetic ideas, the royal branch and the suffering servant, and he fuses them together into one single person. Just look at this. You can see the incredible fusion right here.
On one side, you've got the royal branch, the crown, the throne, the scepter, everything that says king from David's line who rules with justice. And then on the other, you've got the suffering servant, the simple robes, the sacrificial lamb, the posture of a priest who atones for others through suffering. Zechariah is weaving these two roles into one person, a priest-king.
Now you have to understand just how radical this idea was. In Israel, these two jobs, king and priest, were always kept separate. Kings came from the tribe of Judah and priests came from the tribe of Levi, period. But there was this one ancient, kind of mysterious precedent, a figure named Melchizedek, who was both a priest and a king. Zechariah's branch is a figure in that same mold, someone who can both rule the world and redeem it.
And how will this priest-king redeem his people? The vision gives a totally stunning answer. It's going to take him just one day. I mean, this is a dramatic contrast to the old system, which required endless, repetitive sacrifices year after year. The branch will accomplish a complete and final atonement in a single, decisive act. It's a game changer.
Okay, so we've decoded all the puzzle pieces from Zechariah's vision. Now, the source material argues that these prophetic threads don't just hang there in history. They're all woven together and find their ultimate resolution in the claims made in the New Testament.
And this table really lays out how all those prophetic threads are claimed to come together. The royal branch, that points to Jesus as the descendant of King David. The suffering servant is linked to his atoning sacrifice for sin. The radical priest-king role is identified with his status as a high priest in the order of Melchizedek. And that amazing promise of a one-day atonement, that's tied directly to the claim that he removed sin once for all on the cross.
So what's the bottom line? Well, this quote really sums it up perfectly. According to this interpretation, the branch isn't just some vague figure of hope. He's presented as the definitive, divine solution to humanity's biggest problems: priestly failure, royal collapse, satanic accusation, and a broken covenant.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When we start to see prophecy not just as a series of random predictions, but as this intricate puzzle with pieces scattered across centuries, how does that change the way we approach these ancient texts? It suggests we might not just be reading a collection of old stories, but a single grand story being told, a mystery unfolding one clue at a time.